Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. First we're going to start this update with Elon Musk one more time. According to information we have, Elon Musk has decided to transfer to the Pentagon control over part of the Starlink satellite constellation, which is used by the Ukrainian armed forces and is used for the military purposes. And right after we got this update, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation reported that during the previous night, the Russians managed to repel another waves of attack against Crimean. For example, when talking about the Black Sea, the 5 Ukrainian Navy drones were trying to attack the Russian ship, the Russian Sergei Kotov. That attack was repelled and those Navy drones were damaged and destroyed. Another attempt to attack Crimea was made from in the vicinity of the western part of this area. The Ukrainians used more than around 11 drones for that purposes, and all of them were shot down and destroyed. Now let's move to the ground. We also got a lot of very interesting details and updates, at least from the Zaporozhye area. The Ukrainians and the Russian sources published a lot of geolocated videos from 3 salients, from 3 areas of concentration of Ukrainian forces. And I'll remind you that Ukrainians currently concentrated their forces in 3 regions. The first region is Rabotino area, and this is the area where the Ukrainians concentrated their 47th Mechanized Brigade. The second area of Ukrainian concentration is the area between Rabotino and Verbovo, and this is the area of concentration of 46th Brigade. And the final area of concentration is right on the edge of Verbovo, and this is the area of concentration of 82nd Brigade. And all these 3 areas were under very heavy fire from the Russian side. For example, on this video we can see how the Russians were using TOS flamethrower systems to attack and to bomb the concentration accumulation of Ukrainian forces. From one side we see that the Russians are trying to reduce the Ukrainian possibilities to attack them, but from the other side we understand that if the Russians started using TOS flamethrower systems against this sector, that means that there are no more Russians in this area. And this is probably the most powerful and the most important fortification that located on the south of Rabotino and on the north of Novoprokopovka, which means that Ukrainians, as a result of clashes during the previous days, managed to establish 100% control over the defense belt that located on the south of Rabotino. On that, another video shows us how the Ukrainians were trying to make rotation to land their troopers, infantry, but they waste too much time and they sent their armored vehicle too close to the combat line, and as a result of artillery strike, that armored vehicle with the personnel inside of it was destroyed. Furthermore, the Russians continue bombing the forces of 46th Air Mobile Brigade that located on the southern salient between Verbovo and Rabotino. On this video we see how the Ukrainians were trying to make their positions to hide their armored vehicles, ammo depots, but the Russians discovered them and started bombing and shelling them, and as a result of artillery strikes, ammo depot and Ukrainian positions were destroyed. When talking about 82nd Brigade that tried to concentrate their forces on the western part of Rabotino, the same story. They are trying to hide their positions, to get deeper, to dig in deeper, but the Russians controlled the situation and the Russians tried to attack as much as possible the Ukrainians and not to allow them to regroup and to complete the preparation before the next wave of attack in direction of Verbovo. And I assume and I expect that soon the Ukrainians will continue, will complete their regrouping and they will start attacking the Russian positions. Interesting update we got just from the Russian sources. For now, the Western sources, the Western deployment map, haven't confirmed this piece of information, but the Russians reported that Ukrainians took a decision to redeploy their 80th Assault Brigade, Air Assault Brigade, in direction of Zaporozhye. So we will move this brigade to the south, and this redeployment can mean just one thing, that Ukrainians currently try to reinforce their forces in the vicinity of Orechov, Maltakmachka, Novodanilovka, Rabotino, Novoprokopovka, Verbovo, and this is going to be their main feast of attack within the next 2-3 weeks, and also redeployment of 80th Air Assault Brigade from Klishchievka area means that probably the Klishchievka-Andreevka area is going to be a secondary direction, and maybe the Ukrainians they understand that maybe within the next few days they are able to complete the assault operation of Klishchievka and Andreevka, and the Ukrainians are not planning to cross the railways, and they will try to keep the situation as is. So from this moment when they no longer need so many forces, so many brigades in this direction, they started step by step to redeploy and to reinforce other directions with the forces from this area, because railways is a very powerful barrier, and either for the Russians, for the Ukrainians, and if the Russians take a decision to counterattack, they will gonna have to spend a lot of time to cross the railways and to enter Klishevka and Andreevka during counterattacks, if we're gonna see something like this. When talking about Remivka tactical bridgehead, we haven't received nothing from this area. Ukrainian sources reported that the Russians intensified their activity in the vicinity of Avdiivka and Marinka, and that the Russians launched storming operations. And today the Russians published another video how they were attacking, bombing and shelling the Ukrainian positions along the railways that located between Keramik and between Krasnogorovka and Avdiivka. Before the next video, I will adjust the map, because according to the latest updates, we had this area used to be at least under Russian control, and currently, according to the final geolocation, this tree line is under complete Ukrainian control. As we discussed about Klishevka and Andreevka, yet we haven't received 100% confirmation that either Klishevka and Andreevka fell and the Ukrainians established control over them. There are still clashes, the Russians counterattacks according to some sources, the Ukrainians counterattacks, and so on. But the situation as is, Klishevka, at least a part of Klishevka, is under Russian control, another part under Ukrainian control. We can say that this entire settlement is in the gray zone. And Andreevka, the same story. When the Ukrainians attack and when the Ukrainians start bombing, the Russians try to hide below the railways, below in the shelters, underground shelters. And when the Ukrainians finish, the Russians again enter Andreevka and try to repel another wave of Ukrainian attacks. So almost the same story every single day. When talking about Crimean, no changes on the ground, just regular clashes, regular artillery. Ukrainians published a series of videos FPV drones against the Russian positions all over the area between Dibrovo and Crimean. Few armored vehicles, few warehouses were damaged or destroyed. And that's it for this short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.